Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it is truly an honor to be before you this evening. Please like and share and let everyone know that we are on the air today to educate, inspire, and motivate you. You can view us tonight live on True Blue at True Blue Designs on our Facebook and YouTube channel. So please subscribe and press the notification bell so that you can be alerted when new content becomes available. Now I am so excited to introduce to you tonight's guest. Tonight's guest reached out to me a few months ago and briefly shared his life story of being an overcomer. It's a story that proves it's not how you start, but how you choose to finish that is important. His life story. The 19th child of 21 children and the first to graduate from college was a huge milestone for Paul. And he's here to discuss his life story that he penned in his book, No Love, No Charity. Help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, author Paul Lamar Hunter. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me on your show tonight.
Oh, no, thank you for saying yes. I really appreciate it. Once you reached out to me, I have watched videos and just listened to a variety of different interviews. And every time I listened to one of the interviews, I learned more and more. And so I went and bought the book. And I'm just so glad to be able to see you in person and interview you myself, because we've got a lot of content, a lot of ground to cover tonight. But thank you so much for saying yes and being on tonight's show.
Well, I'm excited to share my story on your platform. I want to inspire you. I want to educate. I want to inform young people that it's possible to live your dream.
Yes, it really is. And before I start, how's your family? How's everybody doing?
Hey, everybody is great. Living life. Continue to go to church, praise God, and also be productive in this community.
Yes. Being productive is important. So we're going to start off by allowing you to tell you about yourself to the audience. So I'm going to let you tell them about you.
Well, I am Paul Lamar Hunter. I am the 19th child out of 21 children. My mom birthed 21 children by my dad. 17 of us living today, 63 grandchildren and 87 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
I was born in 1970 in a small little city, Racine, Wisconsin, a great place to go during the summertime. But when November comes, it's time to leave. It's time to escape and head south. So right now, San Antonio, Texas is my new home, and I love it here because it's great.
The weather is pretty good compared to, especially the winter times, compared to Wisconsin, I'm sure.
Most definitely. That's the reason why I'm here. And a lot of my siblings is back home in Wisconsin, enjoying the cold weather. And 85% of the time here in San Antonio, I'm wearing shorts.
And enjoying the weather, boy. Now, in your book, and the main point in your book was that you were the first child in your family of the 21 siblings, 21 children, to graduate from college. So let's talk about your journey to college and getting your degree.
Well, I tell you what, it was a very difficult journey because I come from the inner city, and when you come from the inner city, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of doubt. And so, what I was able to do was surround myself with positive men and women that believed in me and
Mm,
told me I was more than a conqueror. So, once I walked into Upper Iowa University in 2010, there was one direction I could go, and that was up. So I stayed there, I studied, I used all the resources that were available
mm,
for me. I got one-on-one tutoring. I wasn't afraid to ask for help. I had access to the professors,
mm.
uh, email through their cell phone. I was asking a lot of questions, and that's the reason why I was able to break through is because of positive men and women that wanted to see me succeed. So in 2012, I became the first out of 21 children to graduate from college. I have a bachelor's of science in business administration from
Mhm.
Upper Iowa University. So anybody that is listening to this interview, I don't care how old you are, you need to understand that it's not how you start, it is how you finish. You need to understand that the end is always better than the beginning.
Yep, it sure is. And I want to touch on something that you said about using the resources that were available to you while you were in college. Can you speak to some of the college students or up and coming high school students that are listening to this, that may listen to it either now or, after get off the air? Explain to them why it is so important to use the resources that you have available to you, because the schools are not there for you to fail, right? So they have all these resources, and it's very important for you to use them to your benefit.
I think that it is important for a lot of high school students right now to start getting prepared for college. And once you walk into that college, you need to get with your counselor or advisor, and you need to sit down with them. You need to tell them, hey, this is my strength, this is my weakness. So
Mhm.
I need a tutor in math. I wasn't afraid to say, I need a tutor in English. I need a tutor in math. I need a tutor in science. I wasn't afraid to let them know my weakness because my weakness became my strength
Yeah.
later on because I started off weak, but I ended very strong. So it's very important that you go into a college and you surround yourself with positive men and women and use all the resources that are available. The guiding, your counselor or advisor, the tutoring center. Also now they have on a lot of colleges website today you can get tutoring on the website. So everything is there for you to succeed at a college. It's not everything is there. So when you walk into that institution, there's no way that you should fail. It's a way for you to succeed in life.
Right.
And I don't know what your background says, your mother background says, your family lineage says, you can become the first to graduate from college. If I can do it, you can do it.
So why did you choose Upper Iowa State? What was it about that school that made you choose to go there?
Well, Upper Iowa University has a great tradition. They are one of the first university, a lot of people don't know, that educated, went on the base and educated our men and women that were serving in the military.
Oh
People
wow,
don't
I
even know
didn't know that.
they open up the doors for a lot of military men to get education. And so, it has a great history
Hmm.
for doing that. And so I love it because once I found that out, I was just encouraged. You know what? This is going to be a great school for me. I love their resources. I love their professors. I had an
Hmm.
opportunity to talk to the professors. I had an opportunity to sit down with my advisor and had a conversation, shared with my advisor. This is what I believe that I'm going to need help in when it comes to
Right.
academics. And so I set myself up to win. I set myself up to succeed at Upper Iowa University. And the first year I was there, you wouldn't believe it, I was on the dean list. So I thank
Really?
university staff. Yes, I really do appreciate the Upper Iowa University staff and also some of the people in the community, some of my great mentors,
Hmm.
like Mike Morehorn, Larry McGee, Bodie Gardner. Them people have played an instrumental role in my life. And so this is what you see here today. And I also want to thank my siblings, my mom, my dad, for giving me an opportunity to represent the Hunter family in a positive way.
Well, yes, and you're right in saying that, you talked to your advisor and you told her or him what you felt your strengths or weaknesses were and how you needed help. So many times I've heard students say that they go in and they're told, right, what the right role is, what the right major is, what the right classes are, and you took um, responsibility and you took charge of your own education, right? And I hope the viewers get that because that is so important. That's exactly what I told my daughter that's currently in college, right? That I know that they have their curriculum and things they're supposed to do, but you do have a say in your own education, and you're paying. Right.
You are paying.
You are paying. So let me ask you this. So as you were growing up in your environment, and we're going to talk about that, what was it that made you say that I am going to further my education and I am going to college? What was it that had you to make that decision to go?
Well, I just got sick and tired. You know, the old folks used to say, one day you're going to get sick and tired and you're going to make that change. I just
Mhm.
got sick and tired of working jobs and then finding out that the company decided to sell the business or
Yeah.
move operations to another country. You get sick and tired of it. And so
Yes.
I literally got sick and tired of it. And so once I got sick and tired of it, I decided, you know what, this is it right here. I was working for Chrysler engine plant, making good money
Hmm.
as a production worker, and then got the notice that they were going to close operation and move to Mexico.
Wow.
So what they intended for evil, God turned it into good.
Hmm.
So they paid for my education, and I have to share this story because
Okay.
it's critical because in 2005 I graduated from Gateway Technical with an associate degree in supervisory management, and so
Hmm.
I remember graduating. I was excited. I was elated, and went to church. And I remember this bishop was there. He was from Atlanta, Georgia, your neck of the woods. And I went up the line into the prayer line, and he prayed for me. He had said that you want to go back to college, but you don't have the finance to go back to college. But God
Mm.
is going to make a way for you to go back to college. Your tuition, your books, everything is going to be paid for. And I'm saying
Wow.
in my like, no, that's not going to happen. But it did
Mm.
happen. And in 2010, I went back to college. Chrysler engine plant paid for my tuition, paid for my books. They paid for everything, and I just thanked them, and I took advantage of that
That's right.
opportunity. As Eminem used to say, you only have one shot. And so, hey, I had one shot. I looked at my family lineage, especially my mom and my father's side. Nobody graduated college, so I had
Mhm.
of a lot of weight on my shoulders. And each time as I will pass a course, it begins to, that weight begins to disappear. It
Mm.
begins to disappear, and it became light and light and light. And so I lived a life of fear.
Yeah.
And now I live a life of a confident man, a
Mm.
believer, a man that knows that you can do or accomplish anything you want if you put your mind to it.
Right, right. And I'm sure that that's what you instill in your children.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So let's get into the book, right? No charity, no love, no charity. I got my book right here. Tell everybody, love, no love, no charity. Now, where can our viewers get the book from? How can they order the book?
Well, you know what? They can go to Amazon website. Also, they can go to Barnes and Noble's website and purchase the book. And the book is a hot commodity. So
Yeah.
I advise go out book.
Yeah.
If you are a father, if you are a mother, if you are a parent, or you are thinking about becoming a parent,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go out and get this book. This book will change your life. One thing I like about the book, it will grab your attention, and it will be very difficult for you to put the book down.
Yeah.
So
That's
go out and get the
true.
book. No love, no charity. The success of the 19th child.
No love, no charity. All right. So let's talk about the book. Let's talk about what encouraged you to write the book. Let's talk about your upbringing, your relationship with your mother and your dad. So let's tell the viewers what encouraged you to write the book.
I think what really encouraged me is that I grew up in a family that was huge. And a lot of people think that because you come from a big family, that you're not going to have problems. We are a typical family of one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, or eight. Yes, you're going to have some of your family members going to do some bad things, and you're going to have some that's going to do some good things. But hey, it's a part of life.
Yeah.
All family members, you don't see a good, healthy family. There's somebody in your family that's going to do something that's going to, you know, bring shame to your family name. But that's okay. Um, this huge family of 21 is unique and very different. And so I wanted to show uh, the readers that hey, look at Paul Lamar Hunter. He experienced neglect, he experienced poverty, he experienced hardship. And one thing I can say, he never used excuses. He got the job done. So in my book, you're going to see, hey, this man got the job done.
Mhm.
He didn't have a great relationship with some of his siblings or with his mom or with his dad. He still persevered. And one thing I can say to your viewers is that parents are not perfect. There's parents are not perfect. But one thing I can say about my mom, she was a perfect mother to birth 21 children because
Mhm.
we all came out healthy, strong, and beautiful.
Right.
But as we become adults, we make our own decisions. So the book, the book, it talks about my life from the beginning all the way up until graduation. It talks about being a father to my four children, the relationship that I have with my siblings, the relationship that I have with my mother, the relationship I had with my dad, and also the relationship that I had with my children. But there's a struggle, when you learn stuff from your parents, and
Mhm.
then you become parents. There's some things that you take that was good, but you leave the bad behind.
Right.
And with my children, I always want to communicate with them. I always wanted to tell them that I love them, and I
Mhm.
always reaching out to them because I didn't get that from my mother. Like I said, my mother was never perfect. My father was never perfect, they grew up in the Jim Crow system. They grew
Mhm.
up on a picking cotton. you know.
Mhm.
And so I came in a different generation. So I learned to be loving despite how I felt. I can't let my emotions get to me. So I learned to love, and I learned to say that you can't give what you don't have. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that my mother didn't have because she couldn't give. But that's okay. I still love her for who she is because she gave me life. I love my
Mhm.
father as well. But the book, I love the book so much because it has been adapted into a screenplay. So Hollywood, New top producers, they have the book. They was cultivated in adapting the book into a screenplay. Right now, we
Wow.
have the page pitch, and it is in the hands of movie producers and movie directors. So one day, you're going to see Paul Lamar Hunter's life story um,
Right.
movies, and you're going to say, "Wow, I interviewed that young man,"
Yes.
and hopefully, we will get the job done in the next couple of months because I really believe my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child, will change people's lives all over the world. So, hey, if you're listening to this interview, go out and get the book.
Go get the book. Go get the book. No love, no charity. Now, in the book, you talked about how a book was written about your mother's life, right? And it was called Love
Yes,
and Charity.
yes,
So let's talk a little bit about
yes.
that.
Okay. Well, Love and Charity, life story of Louise Hunter.
Okay.
This book right here is also a hot commodity. Go out and get the book. This is the first book that came out. So you
Okay.
need to get this book first in order for you to read my book. But this book right here deals with my mother's life growing up
Mhm.
in Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Mhm.
Um, Dealing with a lot of racial situation as a child, and also experiencing the death of her cousin, and also experiencing the death of people on the plane because my mother grew up on the farm,
Right.
and one particular night the plane was flying and it crashed right near
Oh
the
wow.
farm. My mother and my grandparents, they were all up late that night, and
Mhm.
so that tragedy, it really affected my mom, my uncles, and my aunt. So my mom book is totally different from my book, but I have to say that it's a book that will impact women's lives
Mhm.
as well. Love and charity. The life story of Louise Hunter coming from Vicksburg, Mississippi, making her way to Racine, Wisconsin, and she started the first homeless shelter in the state of Wisconsin as a black woman. She
Yeah.
started with no education. She started the first homeless shelter, Love and Charity homeless shelter in Racine, Wisconsin. That homeless shelter was birthed the day she found out that I was in her womb. Isn't that
Oh
interesting?
wow.
It stayed active for 44 years. So my mother had accomplished some great things in her life. So I'm talking about from winning the Jefferson Award or being in Ebony magazine twice.
Mhm.
She accomplished some great things as a woman from Vicksburg, Mississippi. So my job is to continue her her legacy of
Right.
helping young men and young women, and also people all around the world. And I really have a lot of respect for my mom because she did the impossible, and she did it you know, because God was on her side. And God is a God that would look and say, okay, you think that this is impossible? Let me breathe on you. And he breathed on her many of times. And he showed up at the right time.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how she, not trying to give a lot of the book away, but talk a little bit about the miracle that happened of how she ended up getting the property that she, you all later moved into, and that became the home that she used to help so many people, because it was a miracle.
Yeah, it was a miracle. My mother was pregnant at that time with the 14th child,
Mm-hmm.
and that child is Larry Hunter. And so she was living at that time in a 2-bedroom house. And so somebody ended up calling the police. So
Mm-hmm.
the Racine County Sheriff officer came out, told my mom and dad they had 72 hours to leave. So my mom and dad went to church, prayed about it. The next day, a miracle happened. A man came knocking at the door, wanted to show my mom and dad a house that he had. So my mom and dad jumped in the car with the guy. They went to 612 Randolph Street. The
Mm-hmm.
man showed up on the 18-bedroom house. And he said that you can have it just for
Wow.
one. Now keep in mind, my mom and dad did not have any money whatsoever because my dad didn't get paid until Friday. So the
Mm-hmm.
man wallet and gave my mom and dad the dollar so they can for the house. So that house was a blessing, and and
Wow.
and it was a blessing, but it also became a shelter for a lot of vulnerable men and women that
Right.
was out in the world. Because that's why my mom started the homeless shelter because
Mm-hmm.
somebody helped her. And so I want to say this to your listeners: anytime that you are down and out, and somebody help you, and you get on your feet, please pay it forward. You do the
Mm-hmm.
exact same.
Yeah. You're you're almost indebted to the act that was shown towards you, right? And so you need to pay it forward
Yes.
to help other people. You can, your mother and your father were parents of faith. I got that from the book. They believed, they prayed, and you said in the book that you enjoyed your Sundays, especially the Sunday evenings after church with the big meals. Let's talk about that, because a lot of us can relate to that, right?
Yeah, you got to understand that my mom was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, so she has that Southern mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They get up and start preparing a meal, and by 11 o'clock they heading out that door, and that's what my mom would do. She would head out the door. One of my brother or sister would stay behind, and to finish cooking while the rest of the family is in church and praising God and worshiping, and we being in Bible study as young children. And then after church, the pastor will always come over and sit at the table and pray and eat. One thing about them pastors, I can say, boy, they can definitely eat, boy. Woo! And so, you know, my mom used to throw down, and it was a loving time.
Mm-hmm.
In today society, I don't see that happening. I don't see that Sunday meal. I don't see that getting up together and going to church.
Right.
It's an old tradition that has disappeared. And so with the young generation, they don't like it. The older generation, they remember it, and they
Yeah.
still do to this day. And,
Yeah.
and I miss my mom's cooking. I miss going to the table and listening to the old folks. talk and share and give out some wisdom and understanding and knowledge.
Yes. Yes.
You take what they're saying. And so I miss those days, and I missed the cake. My mom used to always make coconut cake,
Oh.
and cake, we do. I really miss those days. If I can do it all over again, I would, because those were some great days, and I don't see those days with this new generation.
Yeah, I don't think they understand the power of the dinner table. Because just like you said, that's where you get a lot of
Yes,
knowledge. Everybody has to slow down. Everybody has to be attentive. No phone. Um, and I think that's an atmosphere that people have to create, right? Because in 2022, all these kids, a lot of the kids are just tied to their cell phones. And I make sure when my kids come home, I had no cell phones at the table, and we were able to catch up with each other and talk and find out the intricate things of each, everyone's lives at the dinner table, or when you're getting together and cooking in the kitchen. Now that's fun too, right? And so yeah, those
yes,
days for some families are um, long gone, but I think you have to be mindful to create, that environment for your family and for your kids.
yes. You're absolutely correct.
So let me ask you this. Um, One thing that I got from the book is that, and you talked about a little bit earlier, is that your parents everybody is a product of their environment, right? And when you know better, you do better, right? So you mentioned that your parents do the best that they can, and as I got older and matured a little bit more, I started to understand that, right? Because as a kid, you don't understand why you don't get the love, you don't get the attention, you don't get the affection. But then as you grow older and you start to learn about your parents' upbringing and their environment, you kind of tap into, like you said, they gave the best that they could. My question for you, Paul, is knowing the environment that your parents created for you. When it comes to the negative things, how have you now, as a parent, what things have you done to make sure that some of the things are not repeated in with you and your children?
The most important thing that I was able to do was communicate with
Mm-hmm.
my children. I brought structure, about discipline, about guidance. Um, I was able to play with my children. I was able to do work with my children. I was able to become their basketball coach,
Oh
um,
wow.
become their advisor. You
Mm-hmm.
know, to also go bike riding, take them to the zoo, go up to the school, have lunch with them. Uh, just enjoyed it because I didn't have it with my parents. So, a lot of my siblings, we did the totally different from
Mm-hmm.
our parents. Uh, some of the attributes that we have today is because we wanted something different that our that our mom and
Right.
father didn't give us. But when we became, parents, we were able to do things that were totally different, and
Right.
especially, giving hugs to our children and kissing
Mm-hmm.
them on the cheek and letting them know I love you.
Right.
And you know that was very important for me, is just to spend quality time with my children, and also let my children know that I believe in them,
Mm.
and know that life will bring some challenges, but you don't give up. We persevere, we keep moving. A lot of things that I experienced in my life could have broken me, could have defeated me,
Yeah.
and but it didn't. It made me a better person. It made me a better father because, like I said, you can't give what you don't have.
That's right.
My father might not have a lot. My mother might not have a lot, but you know what? I was able to take what they did have and what they didn't have and say, you know what? I'm taking what they have, what they didn't have. I'm going to add it to my parents' life. You understand? They might not have graduated high school,
Right.
graduated, but I'm going to be the first to graduate high school. I'm going to be the first to graduate college. You understand? So I
Hmm.
don't knock them for that, but I do appreciate my mom and dad for giving me life, for giving me an opportunity to be on your platform tonight. So hey,
Yeah.
I thank
Yeah. And I had to. I think it's all about a choice, right? You can choose to allow the environment that you grew up in to lead you down, one road, or like you said, you can choose to take those experiences, right, and pull the good out of it and put yourself on another road to be better than that you came out of. But in both of the situations, it's just a choice, right? And I want you
you.
to,
Yes,
if you don't mind, I want you to speak to the black men out there, because a lot of time um in our culture, I've talked to a lot of men, and I've heard some say, well, my daddy was like that, it's just in me, that's just the way I am. And I'm like, no, you don't have to be that way, right? So speak to the men in the audience, and from a man, and just what would you like to tell them about, you don't have to be, you can be better than the environment that you came out of. And like you said, no excuses. No excuses.
well, first of all, I would like to tell, especially African American men, that you should never let your environment define who you
Mhm.
are.
That's
And in
right.
that environment, it might be your dad, it might be your mother, it might be your cousin, it might be a mentor.
Right.
Uh, I look up to men and women that wants to see me in a better position in life. And if you are a man and listening to this, I encourage you to change your paradigm,
That's right.
change your surrounding, surround yourself with some strong men out there that
Hmm.
can help you, that will tell you, I believe in you, that you can reach for the moon, you can reach for the stars. If I can do it, a guy from Racine, Wisconsin, that experienced hardship, that experienced difficulty, I know that you can achieve success because what God gave you is on the inside of you. All you have to do is pull it out. I don't care if your father was a pimp, your
Hmm.
mom was a whore, your uncle was a drug dealer. You don't have to be like that.
Right.
You can be better. You can be better. Just change your mindset. Please change your mindset because I want to see you succeed. I want to see you on this platform talking about how you listen to me and how I encourage you, how I inspired you, how I motivated you
That's
to
right.
change your mindset.
Right. And that's right. It's all about your mindset and your environment. And there, I've had to do that. I had to learn that sometimes your extended family, which is like you said, the people, your mentors and people that God put in your path, I think family is just not only just blood relatives, right? You can create a family with other
Yes,
people, and it's nothing like having someone who comes along and just encourages you. I'm gonna tell you the story right quick. So when I was in high school, my mother had my dad died when I was in seventh grade, and my mom's, I had five siblings. I'm the youngest, and so me and my brother, which is the fourth child, we only have one boy, and we're 6 years apart, right? So when I was going into high school, he was going into college, and so when I was in high school, my mother only had one rule. You have to make a C or higher. And if you make a C or higher, you can do whatever you want to do. You can do cheerleading or whatever. And so I became a gymnast, and I was pretty good at being a gymnast. And all the other gymnast parents would come and see them compete. And they had somebody there. And I was the only one who didn't. And it kind of makes you feel it's a huge void, right? And as I got older, me and my mom finally were in a place where we could talk about things. And I end up telling her, I said, yes, you provided the money for me to do whatever I want to do, cheer, gymnast, didn't matter. And I had to tell her that I would rather have had her there than the money or anything else, right? Just to be able to have someone in your corner like a parent rooting you on and being proud of you and you hearing it from a parent, right? And you had something similar to happen when you graduated. So I want to talk about that. When you graduated and there was no one there to really encourage you and celebrate. That's the word I'm looking for, to celebrate you. And how that really made you feel. So let's talk a little bit about that. And I think this is important because I want the parents out there to hear what you're about to say about how you hit this milestone that was so critical and so important in your life, but yet, what you got on from the other side of it didn't match up, right, to what you had experienced. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, hey, graduation day was it was mixed emotions,
Mm-hmm.
I say, because I don't care what happens in life or what type of family you come from. You always want your parents or your siblings there. You want to share your success with them. You want somebody there cheering for you. So, yes, my mother was not there. None of my siblings were not there. But what happened that amazing day was that a young lady named Dominique,
Mm-hmm.
a student I graduated with, and Jasmine Lord, both friends, I talked to them, and they were there in line. And I never forget, she said, Mr. Hunter, you don't have nobody cheering for you today. And I said, no. And she said, I'm going to cheer for you.
Oh.
Jasmine said, yes, we are going to cheer for you. So God, I believe, was there for me because I was really down that day and heading over to the university.
Right.
So those women lifted me up because once they called my name to receive my degree, they were screaming and yelling. And
Yeah.
I appreciate them. I don't hold any animosity toward my mother or toward my siblings whatsoever because my purpose was bigger than my circumstances. My purpose was bigger than anything. So I broke barriers that day.
Mm-hmm.
Fear was gone. Animosity was gone. Resentment was gone because I finished. I shouldn't say I finished, but I crossed the finish line.
Right.
Sometime when you cross the finish line, you have to cross it by yourself.
Right.
It's what your circumstances look for because we all run a race. But in this race, it was about Paul Lamar Hunter. So I crossed the finish line. I laid the foundation for the Hunter family. And I have a lot of nieces and nephews graduating or already graduated from college, because I
That
live
is awesome.
and it's like that. It's always got to be one somebody
Yeah,
that will have to cross the finish line, so
first.
that way the family
Hmm.
can flourish.
That is awesome, and I know you. It makes you feel so good that when you have your nieces and nephews come to you for advice about continuing their education.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. Yes. So what I want to say to young men and young women, you might not have your siblings supporting you. That's okay. Keep moving. You might not have dad, mom, cousin, relative, or your friends.
Yeah,
You must keep moving. It's your success, not theirs. It's your success, not theirs. Keep the vision, keep the purpose, keep surrounding yourself with people that's going to encourage you. That's how you become successful.
right.
And when you make it and you become successful, in spite of what had happened, you still have to go back and bring other people with you,
Yeah.
because you have the blueprint on how success can be made.
Yeah, and then you have to also understand that you can show people, but everybody might not. What's the word? I got brain fried. But well, you can show people, but everybody might not take the advice, right? And you can't take it personal, right? You just
Yes.
continue. You can, and I had to learn that. You just continue to give the information, and what they do with it is on them, right? You can't make anybody do anything,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But you were available to your nieces and nephews, so that if they wanted the information, you had open door, I'm sure, and they could come and get the knowledge and the information from you. And thus, you've had, I know several in your family that have continued their education. Has anyone gone past being a BA or has anybody gone to get their doctorate or master's?
My niece just my niece just finished her master's degree. So
Hey.
I'm so proud and
Yeah.
elated for her, because it was hard work. A lot of people don't understand that when you go for your master's, that's
Hmm.
hard work. That's really difficult work. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of her. I know that I have a nephew that's working on his PhD.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm going to be proud for him once he crossed that journey.
Right.
So hey, I was just there to lay the foundation. I laid the foundation, but my education doesn't stop.
Right.
It really doesn't stop. I'm gonna continue to educate myself, continue to learn, and continue to give back to the community. I believe that people that comes from the inner city have a lot of struggles, and they need to hear a story like me to really
Right.
encourage them to really go to the next level, take their game, their academic game to the next level. So um, I'm gonna continue to give to the inner city.
Right. Would you say that continuing your education opened up doors for you that probably would not have been open if you did not make that choice to continue your education? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think that my education played a significant role in my family history. You know, a woman birthed 21 children. Let me see. Okay, 21 children. She stayed pregnant for 15 years and 9 months.
Wow. 15 years
And
and 9
she
months.
has a son. Yeah, she has a son. That's the 19th child. He graduated college.
Wow.
That's an amazing story. That's a story that will impact people's lives
Right.
all over the world. So if it wasn't for me taking the challenge, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
I just wouldn't be here today because I took the challenge, I took the leap of faith,
Mm-hmm.
and I graduated. I graduated. It's history,
Mm-hmm.
and it's history that cannot be erased. You know, Upper Iowa University is a part of me, and I am a part of them. So it's going to be great to see the movie come out.
Right.
It's going to be great to see that I represented the city of Racine, Wisconsin. It's going to be great that I represented Upper Iowa University. It's going to be great that I represented kids in the inner city.
Right.
It's going to be great that my story changed people's lives all over the world.
Now, one thing you did talk about on one of the interviews that I saw was that when you go into a city, you make sure that you visit the Boys and Girls Club. Let's talk about why that is so important to you.
Well, I come from the inner city, so I know the pain of the inner city. I know the children of the inner city because I was once like them.
Right.
And so every time when I go to make an appearance on a talk show, it's 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 dear to me to stop and go by the Boys and Girls Club. I let them know, hey, who I am. I'm coming in town. These are the dates that I am available. Do you want me to stop by and and encourage your children? And they welcome me. They go to my
Right.
website, they see where I have been, and they welcome me, to come to their facility. And when I come and I speak, the kids are excited, they listen, and then after I have conversations with them and I encourage them one on one, and it's just fun because they are experiencing hardship, the same type of hardships
Right.
that I experienced when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm able to say, hey, I experienced that when I was a child. This is what you need to do. I tell them that some of the resources that they need to take advantage of in the community, and never be afraid to speak up, never be afraid to share your thoughts and your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and never be afraid to ask for help, because that's what smart people do. They ask for help. So it's fun to go to different inner cities and speak to young men and women and tell them about the importance of education and what education can do. Just
Can
open
do.
up doors for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
And I like what you just said. Smart people ask for help.
Yes.
That was one of my takeaways. My mom used to say, "A closed mouth don't get fed," and a closed hand don't get bread.
Yes.
So you got that. You got to ask for help. You talked about that earlier when you talked about the resources in school when you were in college. You got to ask for help. Um. So let's see. Uh, so let me ask you this. So, what is a couple of things that you want viewers to remember from your interviews?
First thing, I want them to remember that I'm a guy that came from the inner city, that had experienced fear, that
Mm-hmm.
was afraid to succeed, that was afraid to ask for help, that was a guy that was just traumatized with fear,
Mm-hmm.
that he was just shake, you know, and I turned it all around. And now I'm a man that is very confident. I'm a man that believe. I'm a man that want to encourage. I'm a man that want to tell the world that the end is always better than the beginning. And remember the words of Frederick Douglass when
Mm-hmm.
he said that without struggle, there's no progress. So you
Amen.
have to struggle to make progress, but don't you ever give up.
Don't you ever give up. No struggle without there's no progress without struggle. That is the truth. I was going to ask you also too, because I know that you grew up. Both parents weren't like this, but one parent was, and it was your mother. Very emotionless, right? You mentioned that it was later on in life that you heard her tell you that I love you. And that was a touching story that was in the book. Can you talk as a parent about how important it
Yeah.
is for us to show our kids, emotion and love and empathy? Because sometimes these kids these days are just, they just have no fear for life. They don't think anybody cares about them. It's just like they're just existing and being, right? And a lot of that is because I believe that, it's their environment. They haven't been shown love and caring. And so can you speak a little bit about why that is important? You're a parent now. So why that is important for you to show that to children, for us to show that to our children.
From my mother. So I'm gonna constantly talk to my children and tell them each time that I talk to them before I hang up the phone, I tell them I love you. When they were growing up, I used to give them hugs. My mother never did that, but I don't hold it against her because there's a
Right.
reason why. I keep saying that you can't give what you don't have.
Mhm.
I always encourage my kids to go further in life. Um, I'm gonna continue to be their advisor now because they are adults, but I'm still their dad.
Right.
I'm not their friend, even though
There you go.
they are adults,
Say it again,
but I'm
Paul.
their dad. I'm not their friends, so. But I do love them. I really do
Mhm.
love them. I always, when I do see them, I always give them a hug. I never know when it's going to be the last time,
That's
but
true.
I'm always going to tell them I love them. And so, for young people or older people, you know, in order for you to get comfortable of, of doing something, the
Mhm.
first time you do it is going to be uncomfortable. So
Right.
the more you do it, the more you hug somebody, especially your children, and the more you say I love you, it's going to get better. And
Right.
then it's just going to be just, oh, I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a hug.
It gets
It's just
easier.
going to come with the flow.
Yeah, it gets
It gets
easier.
easier.
Hmm.
It really it really does. And like I said, uh, my mother was not perfect, but she was the perfect woman to birth 21 children. And there's no perfect parent out there
Oh,
at all
no,
in this world.
it doesn't
We
come with a
all,
manual.
the Bible says, yeah, the Bible says that out of life, I believe, comes, the life issues. Out
Mhm.
of, it just comes life issues. Everybody has issues in this world. And so I just want people to know that you might have experienced dysfunctional relationship with your siblings, with your mom, with your cousins, with your relatives. Uh, please tell them that you love them. Please go out and give them a hug. I always say a hug a day keep cancer away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. If someone wanted you to come and do some speaking engagements or um, they want to interview you, what is the best way out of the information that's strolling? What is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
They can visit my website at paullamarhunter.com.
Okay.
paullamarhunter.com. I am available for speaking engagements. I'm available for book signings as well. So visit my website, paullamarhunter.com.
PaulLamarHunter.com. See, I forgot to put that on there. So I'm glad you did say about the website. Well, Paul, I thank you so much. We're at the end of our broadcast, but I just thank you so much. The book is entitled No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child by Paul Lamar Hunter. You can get the book at Amazon. You said Barnes and Noble. Yeah,
Yes.
and he's not lying about it being a hot commodity, because I ordered this book way in enough time so I can finish reading the book for the interview, and it just came in. Remember I told you that? I was like, what is going on? What is going
Yes.
on? I ordered this thing around 3 weeks ago. So it is a hot commodity. So let's support Paul and get his book. We're going to keep you in prayer. Congratulations. Let me be the first one to congratulate you on this movie. It's going to be awesome. We did not even touch a lot of the book, but you got to get the book. It is very good. It is very good. And he's right. You know, you won't want to put it down. So, but thank you, Paul, so much for being on the show. I am Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I thank you so much for tuning in. We will be here next week, same time, same place. Paul, you hold on. Good night, everybody.